So behind me is one of our Yamaha FZ-07s. This model is actually the model that you will be able to rent for a MotoAmerica round, and I'm going to give you a little breakdown of what exactly is on one of our race bikes. So first of all, you're going to notice that this looks a whole lot different than a typical street Yamaha FZ-07, and that's because it takes a lot of modifications to get it ready to compete at the MotoAmerica level, especially if you want to have a really competitive bike. So first thing we've done is you'll notice there's a completely different front end on here. We've taken an R6 front end, swapped that on there. So first thing we had to do with that is get different triple clamps. So you'll see a set of triple clamps from AP Moto Arts that are on there to accommodate some bigger R6 forks with an AK-20 cartridge kit from Traction Dynamics. So front end's going to be a little bit more stable. You notice we put better brakes on there as well, so it's got R6 brake calipers, Brembo master cylinder, and steel braided brake lines. Now moving on to the motor. The motor is far from stock. That is probably the most specialized piece on this bike. It has got a full superbike build done by Glidden Racing. I think Glidden has been working really hard on our motors to make sure that we have a really fast power plant, and I think he's done a good job doing that. So I'd like to go into more details about it, but I don't want to give all of the secrets away because it's going to be a fast motor. As far as electronics go, there's a flash-tuned ECU and electronics on there, so there's a quick shifter traction control and map options through the FT ECU for the Yamaha FZ-07. So that's where we went with our electronics. So with that, we can change the mapping, we can change the sensitivity on the quick shifter, kind of do all that stuff if we need to at the track, which is pretty handy. Another important piece that I actually don't have mounted up right now, but I do have right here, is a custom airbox done by Andy Palmer at AP Moto Arts. He's got this made with a carbon fiber scoop, so it's going to take in some more air and allow us to produce some more power. That still has to get mounted up, but once that is, that'll be ready to go. Obviously, as far as body work, a stock FZ-07 doesn't have fairings, so with that, the guys at I1 Moto have created a kit for that, and that's where we do with our body work. So you don't see it here because it's off to get painted right now, but we do have a full fairing bodywork kit that looks super cool and makes an FZ-07 look like a proper race bike. Now the front end isn't the only suspension we've modified. We've also put a Penske triple rear shock on there, so that's going to be taking care of the suspension on the back side. And then we've also put an Olin steering dampener on the top, so that's going to keep it stabilized, which is a must-have and required for MotoAmerica. To complement the superbike motor that's in there, we've gone with a full Yoshimura exhaust. Yoshimura has been around forever, and they do a great job creating an exhaust system for all sorts of bikes, and that is no exception for the FZ-07, so that's what we included there for that. As far as handlebars and rear sets, we went with Woodcraft. I've been using Woodcraft for years. They make a really good setup for the FZ-07. And so we've got 50mm clamps to accommodate the bigger forks of the R6 for that, and then the Woodcraft rear sets. So with the rear sets, you'll notice that there's not the stock casting attached to it. It's actually a riser kit from Robum Engineering. They make a really cool kit for that. That is a bit stronger than the stock castings and also easily replaceable. And it's got a cool slot in it that's actually nice if you're taking the motor out. You don't have to take the entire casting and rear set off. So it's much more practical for track application. And Robum does a great job. They've made a ton of parts and they're helping us out this season. So we went with those because that is a huge upgrade. You'll notice that the rear shock is not attached like normal to the FZ-07. There's actually an AP Moto Arts linkage. Everybody on the FZ-07, when we're putting them on the track, we use a different linkage on there just to help with the rear suspension. And so AP Moto Arts makes a nice linkage for that, and that's what we've got included on this bike. Of course, with crash protection, we've got different things on here. We've got some Woodcraft sliders and Yoshimura sliders on the engine. That way, heaven forbid you do crash, you got the protection for it. I would really hate to go punching a hole in one of these nice motors that have a whole lot done to it. So we want to make sure the motor's well protected. So as you can see from the video and from what I've talked about, the bike is heavily modified. It is far from stock, and that is to allow you to have a competitive bike on the MotoAmerica grid. So, if you want to be part of the rental program or ride this bike, just contact me at haydens259@gmail.com, and we'd love to tell you more about our program and how you can ride this bike at the pro level.